don't know. Here, let's talk about MAID a little bit. Angelo says, in my country, they now want to provide assisted suicide for minors. Report that the government of Canada amend the eligibility criteria for medically assisted dying, set out in the criminal code to include minors deemed to have the requisite decision-making capacity upon assessment. Monsters. If the child can decide they want to kill themselves, they don't need to ask the parent, because if they have decision-making capacity, then that ends with the child, not the parent. And so you could take your child into a doctor's office and the doctor could have a conversation with that child. They could decide that they have capacity and bingo, bango, bongo, you're done. Right? So is that acceptable? That seems crazy. That seems absolutely wild. People on the conservatives are upset. The changes that were supposed to come into effect were delayed for a year, but now they're trying to delay them further and not have them come back into effect. This is Michael Cooper talking about this. Oh, I thought it was Garnet Genius. Sorry, my bad. It was Michael Cooper that I was referencing at the top. Michael Cooper says, today the MAID committee's report was tabled in the House of Commons. The report recklessly recommends expanding MAID. It even recommends medically assisted death for minors. I presented the CPC dissenting report. Conservatives will fight this radical expansion to Trudeau's already disastrous medically assisted death regime. I don't want to call it MAID because it sounds too sanitized. Are you going for MAID? Oh, we've got a MAID. Oh, this MAID. It's murder, right? Like, and I mean, there can be a good case. And that's the slippery slope that is concerning, because you can make a good case and reasonable people can see that. It's the reason we put dogs down, etc. You don't want people living in pain. But when people say, see, this kid's living in pain and they have a hangnail, slippery slope, right? That's not okay. Let's not do that. And it seems like, well, if men can be women and schools are de facto parents who can reassign gender, then making the leap to you've got a hangnail, let's get that MAID handled by this afternoon and it'll never bother you again, is not that far a leap, I don't think, right? I don't think it's that far out. And people incredulously dismissing it. Not legit, because holy cow, we've gone around the bend. It's not like everything else is completely normal, very even. That's like, why would anybody think that? No, man, everything's gone bonkers. I think that male doctor over there is wearing a dress. And that's not okay, man. If the doctor doesn't believe in biology, where the heck am I? Is he a witch doctor? Like, jeepers creepers. When did he change? Never mind. Moms for Liberty. Let's continue talking about MAID. With this legislation, we are protecting kids from harmful permanent medical procedures. This is kind of in the same vein. Noam signs bill banning gender transition surgery for minors in South Dakota. So they're banning this kind of nonsense. And it's one of those things that I think it was implied that you couldn't do that until people started just doing it, which is crazy. Here's Pierre Poilievre, and he's talking about changing the policy of the government of Canada to treatment instead of providing safe supply of drugs. I would support that. It's a 3-minute long speech. I don't need the 3-minute long speech. True North is reporting this one. Again, Poilievre's using the everything feels broken in Canada branding. It's good branding. And it sticks. I don't know if he uses the 8 years here, but he's testing that one out. I don't know why. There's a plan for that, though. There's a reason for it. I'm not sure why, but everybody's mentioning 8 years. So there's a reason for it. There's some kind of something going on with that. Anyway, here's the last 30 seconds of this speech. It's worthwhile. I think that it is a necessary change. I've talked to Greg a lot about Mr. Poilievre. My job, in my opinion, is to cover Canadian politics as fulsomely as I can. And I'm interested in what's happening, not what I want to have happen. And so what's happening is Mr. Poilievre is putting together a campaign where he's very popular with a lot of people. And so I'm going to cover that in as honest a way as I can. And I'm going to tell you where I think that his campaign is failing or floundering or whatever. And I try and be honest about that. But people get upset with me, specifically Greg, and it's fine that Greg does. I'm glad that we debate. It's good. But people get upset with me. And sometimes the audience, you guys get upset with me too, because maybe I'm not clear about the motivation for doing my show. But the motivation for doing my show is to cover Canadian politics as it is, not as I want it to be. And so as it is, Poilievre is putting together a cogent, well-funded, backed up campaign where he has a very clear strategy of what he's going to talk about, and he has a reason for it. And I don't agree with what he's doing necessarily, not all of it anyway. I wish he talked more about certain things, but I can understand the strategy. I get it. I understand the strategy. So I think it's interesting if we're watching Canadian politics and we understand that you are an individual person, single, and the influence that we wield is limited. I can't change the course of the Conservatives winning, I don't think. And the Conservatives, when they put together a winning campaign in in 88, 89, after the original Conservative Party kind of disintegrated and there was kind of a reformation of the Conservative Party, that was all brought up by small coalitions supporting each other, compromising, negotiating. But it was parties and people figuring out a broader strategy to appeal to people. And I'm not saying that I don't think that the Conservative Party is infiltrated by WEF or infiltrated by people who are maybe working more for Justin Trudeau than they are for the Conservative Party. But there are people who are willing to look past all of that. They want Mr. Poilievre in now. They think the policies that he offer a return to a Canada that they recognize, I guess. I would agree. It looks like the policies he's putting together are a return to the Canada that I want in some ways. But his absence of speaking about certain really important things gives me pause. And the way he chooses to speak about other things makes me think that he's not our guy, really. That specifically the healthcare thing and foreign nurses, without ever talking about rehiring the unvaccinated nurses. That's something that I can't look past. But I can see what other people see in him. I can see it. I understand it. And I understand that me saying, no, he's terrible, isn't going to change people's opinion. So I'm watching this as it unfolds, and I think it's interesting. And I think that if he continues to do what he's doing, this measured strategy that he's doing, I think he's probably going to win more seats than the Liberals. But I don't know if he's going to do both. I don't know if the NDP have alienated their base enough, or if people see them as the Liberals enough that they're going to get blamed for what's going on right now. I'm not sure. It's up in the air. It's very up in the air. Right now, if I were to predict right now, if we were to go to an election tomorrow, I'd say it was going to be tight. It was going to be tight because he hasn't had enough time to get his message out. But I don't know that Bernier would win. In fact, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't. So it's very interesting, all of this rolling out and people upset. And I don't know that PPC supporting Mr. Poilievre would do any, one, they wouldn't, because CPC doesn't own votes. And two, the difference, I don't know, would make that much of a difference. I know that they being the powers that be said, 5% and blah, 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 but it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Here's that 30 seconds. Apologies. I went on a bit of a diatribe there. Here we go.
Detox, treatment, counseling, life skills, and back on the street for a drug-free life. And that's what I'm going to do. A Poilievre government will bring in a massive and very successful drug treatment program to save the lives of our brothers, our sisters, our friends, and our neighbors. Thank you.
So drastically different than Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau says we don't want to be stigmatizing our friends and neighbors. Poilievre says we want to save the lives of our friends and neighbors. Justin Trudeau has a medically assisted death panel. And Pierre Poilievre wants to save lives. I mean, there's a campaign ad there, right? You could do some yin and yang on that. Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. Check out CanadaPoly.com or CanadaPoly2.locals.com for full episodes of Canada Poly Daily, looking at Canadian politics from a Canadian point of view. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful